Hey guys, I am DM Zone. This is Gamers Oasis. Let's get into it. Okay, so we're going to do something a little different. Last week on Thursday, I went ahead and said that I'm going to go ahead and jump into the dungeon for my actual play of the original Dungeons and Dragons game, the solo campaign I'm running. And today we're going to be doing that very thing. Um, I don't have everything set up the way I want, so some things are going to change as I kind of move towards Father's Day gifts and this type of stuff. I'm going to be asking for like a ChessX map and that type of stuff versus what I am using. I'm going to have a video kind of posting how I'm doing this type of stuff eventually when I get into Patreon. Um, to kind of show like a way that people could do this if they wanted to do it with the setup I have. And then when I do the ChessX thing, I'll probably show that laminate map and how that might be considered better or whatever. Mostly because you can just roll it up and toss it aside versus having something rigid and hard. But anyways, we'll get into those videos later. Let's go ahead and have some fun. Let's do some Dungeons and Dragons set in the original rules. I've gone ahead and named my torchbearer. My torchbearer is named Baba, Baaba. She is part of the desert people that I have in my world. And then I also have Hetor. It's spelled Heth, a hard T in there, ER, and he is my porter. He is currently with a mule inside the barn of the farmer who sent us out here. We're about 300 yards, got about a 30-foot climb in about 300 yards, so about 10 feet per 100 yards, or 100 feet, excuse me, to this massive oak tree that's 2.5, 3 times the size of all the other oak trees in the area. There's a bunch of rumors around it. Supposedly a death cult or something was there, maybe ghosts, who knows. All sorts of rumors over the years have been seen around this area. All of a sudden, some dead cows were found, part of the hill washed out. These type of things. A total of 7 cows have been slaughtered over 3 days. This is the 4th day. All the cows have been moved away. When they went to check the farmer's home so he could get the rest of his stuff and take it back to town to kind of keep it safe, it had been ransacked. So yeah, whatever is there is definitely malevolent and causing a great deal of harm to the area. So with that, let's go ahead and jump into these characters and start moving towards what they perceive to be maybe some sort of entrance into like a cave system or a dungeon of some nature. Okay guys, for right now, this is what I'm going to be using for my tokens. I do have lots of miniatures. Many of them just need to be painted or organized a little better. Keeping this short nose, I'm just going to use these for right now. These are just glass beads that have the first letter of the name wrote on it. So we have Stigith, Osgar, Edith, Brith, and Myron. And then over here, this white dice is going to be my torchbearer. The little red dice on top will be counting down the torches, and over here I have the round counter so that you know what round it is. Every 6th round you have to rest, so that is a thing. I do an adaptation I am doing is if you have a 13 constitution and you're not carrying anything, you're just wearing your normal stuff, then you can go ahead and make it 6 turns and then have to rest on the 7th. And if you have a 16, which gives you a +2 con, then you can be able to make it 7 turns and you rest on the 8th. And then if you have an 18 con, you can make it 8 rounds and rest on the 9th. So and that's basically how this is going to work. There's some benefits to having con beyond having just con. If you're carrying a load, you have to have an equal number of strength to be able to go that far as well. So if you have a 16 con and a 13 strength, but you're carrying a load of significant amount like a porter, you're still only going to be able to go 6 turns before you have to rest, not 7. If you have 16s in both, then yeah, you can do that. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into this. So as they travel up the hill, all the cows that were alive were removed. There are dead cows in there. There are currently vultures, ravens, and other rodents that you can see running through and around the carcasses. As you move close, you'll see a coyote clear the top of the hill, or maybe a very small wolf. You're not 100% sure. Whatever it is, it didn't want to engage with you guys and was fairly timid, making you think it was probably a coyote. There are other canine tracks in the area. Some of them are bigger, some of them are smaller. So it could be that there are wolves in this area too. It was believed that there was. You see booted prints over here, small, fat booted prints, which the scouts from Lord Reinhold believed that these were goblin tracks based upon what they had discovered. So coming to the top of the hill, there's this huge 5 to 8 foot tall stone slab that is made of granite, darker gray, that is fairly flat on top. There's an oak tree basically growing out of the side of it in the earth, but also on top of it. The earth actually goes on top of the rock too. The roots, though, from this oak actually grow over the top of this rock and then back down into the ground itself. And seemingly the roots go basically flat out every direction, because directly below it, you can see as you get closer that there is this wall that is made out of more gray granite stones. These stones are, when you get closer, you can tell, are shaped to be 2 foot by 2 foot and 6 inches thick. They have a groove down the top and the bottom, and along the sides. That means they interlock with each other, creating a very secure system, usually held together by friction and weight. In this case, the top stones are actually beveled to be able to support the ceiling based upon what you can see with this and this type of build that they have. So there is a 2 to 4 foot, depending on how many stones that were knocked free, portion of the wall that has been pushed out, and a fairly significant portion of earth has been moved away from the wall, exposing probably 5 to 10 feet of it, probably about 4.5 to 5 foot tall, creating a fairly decent size wide hole. The elf looks at that Myron and goes, I don't know if there's any way the weather we had did this. This was dug out, or something in there pushed its way out of this cave. And that doesn't make sense with goblins. Goblins don't usually live within the earth exclusively. They live in things in the earth, but they don't live just within the earth itself. That's not their nature. So, with that bit of information and the fact that the dwarf sees it and sees it as good construction, not necessarily dwarven construction. Dwarves don't usually use 6-inch blocks for width. They like to go a little heavier and extra duty on that. So he believes that this was probably a well-made human construction of some time ago. Probably 50 to 100 years ago, if not more. Based upon his experience, though he's a flint knapper, he himself is not necessarily a stone mason. He works with stone, and to some degree. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit of an order of operation here. So we're going to go ahead and have Osgard go in the back. We'll have Brith right in front of him. Osgard will be facing away from Brith, so they have their backs together. Myron will come over here just near Brith, but in front of him as the elf who's currently being played as a magic user. And then up front we will have Edith, the strong human fighter, and Stigith, the dwarf fighter. And that will be how we travel through this dungeon, at least until hit points adjust and we have to do something different. So I'm going to go ahead and leave doors shut for right now. I'm going to draw the room as we go. The first room is going to be 20 by 20. And in case you're wondering, I do have a map in front of me. So how are these rooms randomized? How do we have like a sense of what is what makes this a solo game? Well, when I made this map, I actually ended up using the solo build dungeon builder for that Gygax made in 1975. He put it in a Strategic Review 1. I based it off of that, and then I went through and kind of made some adjustments so it wasn't quite so linear, that the rooms kind of made a little bit more sense. I do have a goal to make it at least 3 levels deep, to, you know, have the, as the suggest in the core rulebook, a multi-level dungeon or a mega dungeon straight off the bat. Will this go deeper? Will they go do something else? I'm going to leave that to the direction of the dice and what we're doing, versus trying to define that myself. The monsters that are inside there are ruled randomly based upon like a dungeon encounter table, and then I went ahead and made some sort of lair, populated the lair with loot, randomly placed the loot, and then every time I go into a room outside of very select rooms where I have planned encounters, I'm going to roll a d6. So on a 1, 2, and 3, we have an encounter. And then I roll that dice again, or I roll a blue dice, and then on 1 or 2, we have loot. So if we have no encounter, but we have loot, then that's unprotected loot, unguarded loot. And if we have both, then we have monsters with loot. Monsters themselves sometimes have loot and sometimes do not have loot. For example, if you were to face a vermin of some nature or a rodent of some nature, like a wolf or a rat or ravens, for example, they're not going to have loot just on them. You're not going to find a raven with bling. You might, if you find the nests of the raven in their lair per se, find things that are shiny in there because that makes sense with a raven, and you might find that in a rat's nest and that type of stuff. But on the rats themselves, you're not necessarily going to find that. Now, original Dungeons and Dragons doesn't actually give vermin or rodent type of stuff layers. I have done that because it's a good way for them to have loot. It's a good way to have this little yin-yang balance type of thing. Also, it makes sense that they would for certain types of loot. No, it does not make sense that the rats have stored or dragged into their lair a staff of healing. Why? Unless the staff is covered in gems, they probably would separate the gems from the staff and bring the gems into it, if they even cared about shiny stuff. Now, finding a dead person inside a rat's lair has a good chance of having something on it, because that would make sense. So we're trying to make it make sense and work from there. Undead in general do not have it unless they're intelligent undead, and they retain it for whatever reason. If there was enough of it there, I could see that undead killed people and that undead loot would remain behind. So we're trying to play some logic into this, not basing this off of wandering monsters. You find wandering monsters of rats or undead or those type of things, they're not going to have loot on them. That just is basically what it is. Okay, so let me go ahead and do this for the first room right here. Is there anything right here in the middle? Purple's going to be for the monster. We do have some sort of encounter, and we do not have any sort of loot. So this is going to be a thing. Now, I'm also going to be rolling some logic in here. So if something would not make sense, then I'm not going to have that. Here's what the thing's going to have. All right, so the first thing it would have, this does not make actual sense for it to be there. It hates the light. This is Shriekers, so I'm not actually going to put a Shrieker in the first room. We'll just go ahead and ignore that result, basically considering it a null. We're going to run into enough creatures and Shriekers, I'm sure, that will not be a thing. But let's go ahead and move into the dungeon. So this is a 20 foot by 20 foot room. There's a door on the east side. I'm going to be using cardinal directions when I go in here. I'm going to have Edith and Stigith going in first. I'll probably have Myron go in. We're going to have the torchbearer go over there. Edith will be carrying a torch as well. I'll go ahead and mark a torch down for her. Maybe. Okay, got a torch. Come back to that in a second. And then these two are going to come right up to the door. Osgar is going to be looking around, making sure nothing's coming from behind the cows or over the hill, basically trying to ambush them. I'm going to go ahead and roll a check. Is Osgard or the Myron going to go ahead and do a search of this area? We'll start with Myron. Purple is no, because it's the encounter one, so it's going to just remain that way. And the answer is yes. Myron will do a search. Myron is going to do a passive search at first because they are an elf. That means that 1 or 2 and a d6, they do not get it, so they're going to go ahead and roll a 1 through 4 on a d6, and they get that. That's going to advance this to turn 3. Actually, I'm just going to make it turn 2 just because this is the first turn. So they're going to spend a turn doing this room to see if they can find it, if there's anything in here. Myron knows that there is no secret door in this room, or confidently believes there's no secret door in this room, and they're going to decide to go through the door. Now, Stigith, Myron, and Edith are all going to go listen at the door. In this case, Edith will be blue because Stigith and Myron both are on a 2+. Edith is on a 1+, or excuse me, a 1. So actually, all 3 of them got it. They need a 1 or a 2 for the demi-humans, and Edith needed a 1. So all 3 of them would have determined whether or not there was something there. We're going to roll for this next room. There is neither a monster nor is there unguarded loot. I'm going to go ahead and draw that room. This room is 20 feet by 10 feet. And I need to move my mouse here real quick. Right here. There's another door. Oh, I'm going to draw this in blue. Right here and right here, there are wrought iron torch sconces on the wall. They are currently not being used, and there are no burned out torches inside it. But there are torch sconces in this room. This does not actually look like it was an entrance or an exit. This was a wall that was forced out, and this is just a room at the end of a hallway, or whatever this is. Okay, so Stigith again is going to move in. Myron's going to move in. Edith will move in. Now we're going to have Brith and Osgard move in. We'll have the torchbearer move a little bit out of the way. Here's Edith's torch. I'm going to roll to see if Myron's going to search this room too. That would be a yes. So I'm going to do passive as blue. And if they get it, then we're not going to do the active search. But if they do the active search, then they will spend a turn doing this. So this is no to both, and they lose a turn. They're going to come over here and do a listen. Same listen check as before. Both the demi-humans get it. This is not going to be cocked. That's going to happen a lot, I'm sure. But they do get it. Let's go ahead and do a check to see if the next room has anything in it. I'm actually going to reduce this to half. So blue will need a 1 for unguarded treasure. And we're going to do a 1 or a 2 for encounter. So neither. I do that because this room is small. This is a little 10 foot by 10 foot room with a door on the other side. So we're going to have Myron walk in here. We'll have Stigith and Edith come over to here. It's basically going to fill the room. We'll have the Torchbearer come in, Brith come in, Osgard again with the bow shot potentially if needed. Myron's going to do a passive only check here potentially. No. Myron's going to do a check in both. Very thorough, apparently. They do spend a turn, and there is no hidden passageways here. So they get one more turn, and then they have to rest. This is going to be for the listen check on the other side. So one of the demi-humans ended up getting successful. Let me go ahead and redraw this map because I am too far over. And let me roll to see if there's any encounter here. There's neither an encounter nor is there any loot. I'm going to go ahead and move these guys real quick. So right here, which we'll come back to in a second, there's a little stair. The ceilings in these rooms are 8 feet tall. And in this room here, which is actually that room right there, they are also 8 feet tall. On this side, but over here, it's 11 feet tall. So it is going down a little bit as we go. This needs to move to a 4. That needs to go to a 4. So this is going down a little bit, stepping down as it goes. For those who don't know, it is a bit of an old school thing for that to happen, because what happens is if you go down a different level and you don't necessarily realize that the monsters can become tougher because you've reached a new level. So I'm going to go ahead and draw this room. Oh, we need to open the doors. I probably will not have a problem. All 3 of them will be pushing on it. Yes, actually with Edith we are fine. Edith has an 1852 strength. So on a 1 through 5, Edith is able to open the door. Actually, it goes to here. Which is kind of ridiculous. This room is 20 by 30. And right here, there is a door on the far side. So we are continuing south as we go. Okay, so there's no encounter here. There's no loot. These guys are going to go ahead and step in. Stigith's going to move into the middle of the room. Edith's going to move closer to the door. Myron will step in. Brith will come here. Osgard is going to come over there. Torchbearer is going to move sort of in the middle over here like this to give everyone light. And then Myron is just going to go ahead and do... Actually, I'll probably have Brith come over here. Probably going to go ahead and do a search of the room. Quick little walk around. If I don't do this, this is... so we are on turn 5. I'm going to do a quick passive walk. If he doesn't make if Myron doesn't make the passive, which is a 1 or a 2, then we'll have to rest in this room, and then it'll take 2 turns to be able to do the next one, and we're going to have to light new torches. So they do not get the passive. Torches are going to be restarted. Edith burns another torch. Here I'm going to do another passive in this one as Edith walks this place. If she gets the passive, then she's going to knock 1 turn off. Otherwise, it'll be at 2 turns. So she does get that, so only go to 2 turns. And Edith does find a secret passage. I'm going to do that one in purple. Osgard looks at it. After looking at it for a little bit, Osgard believes that this is a one-way passageway based upon it, and finds what they believe to be the secret, the panel. Yes, that will mean that they were able to be able to determine what the secret panel. That was for an intelligence roll, just so you know. So there's a secret door going out that way. That seems to be a one-way door. So if you go through it, and whatever you use to prevent the door from opening shuts, then you are stuck, unable to get back. So, food for thought. Okay, so are they going to go through the secret door, or are they going to go through the known door, realizing nothing probably can come this way through towards them? Are they going to go into the secret door? Yes. Yes, they are. Okay. I may have to move my rooms again. All the way to there. This is going to be another 20-foot by 30-foot room with a doorway over here. Let me go ahead and describe what this door looks like when it opens. Oh, there are sconces over here. Just like there are sconces over here. Neither of these have torches inside them already. This is a type 1 secret door. This door opens one way, maybe by pushing a block. It lowers 2 blocks at the base and 1 block above it, creating a semi-triangle shaped that is 4 foot tall and 4 foot wide at the base. Though it's only 2 foot wide at the top end, requiring some people having to try and squeeze their way through it. All right, so that is what happens. Now let me go ahead and see if there's anything inside there. There is both monsters and there is loot, so that is a good thing. Let me go ahead and roll to see what it is. As the door opens, oh, that's not a good one. So there's a war band of goblins and some wolves. Well, that's not terribly bad. There's only 5 goblins and a wolf. Okay. So I've got this over here for the goblins and the wolf. I'm going to go explain how this works. So they're not necessarily thinking about the door opening. I'm going to roll luck to see where the wolf is. Lucky, it's away from us. It's unlucky, so it's going to be right over here. I'm going to go ahead and do another wolf token. And another goblin token, so I can explain what that means in a second. So the type of combat I'm doing is man-to-man combat. So what that means is you're treating it like the chainmail man-to-man rules. So the problem you run into is the rules were still set very much in the chainmail version of things. So while they have what they call weapon class, and you can see that, they don't go into what the weapon speed or weapon class is for the monsters, because they just assume that if you're going to be fighting monsters, that you're going to be using the chainmail mass combat rules. So I know goblins are by weapon, which is no big deal. They're going to be using swords, so they go on a 4 for weapon class. And the wolves are the question. So a wolf is going to be a 4 as well for the bite. And of course the bite does a d6. So the wolves and the goblins both go on 4. Osgard, Myron, and Stigith all go on weapon class 1. Brith goes on weapon class 3, and Edith goes on weapon class 8. So the way it works is you roll. They don't really have dice you roll necessarily in original Dungeons & Dragons, but this is what I'm doing for tiebreakers. And then after that, we figure in the rest of it. So blue will be the bad guys. So we break tiebreakers. So if we went at the same time, like if Brith was using a weapon speed 4, then he would go first before they would, gain the advantage potentially of going. If we both rolled 2s, then what would happen is we would go simultaneously, so there would be no tiebreaker, and if when one went, the other one would just get killed. This also works for spells. It also works for range, which range actually fires first, these type of things. But from here, we're going to go procedural. We're going to have moves, then we're going to have archery, then we'll have melee, and then we'll have magic last. Okay, so they were over here figuring out the door. Osgard was for sure there. Brith would be back some. Myron, who's an archer by nature, or wanting to be an archer by nature, I should say, is back some. Osgard pushes open the door. Stigith and Edith see this. They have the first chance to move. Edith is going to move here and go after the wolf. Stigith's going to come in to protect her flank and to go after the goblin. Osgard's going to back up and try and get a shot in over here. They're going to suffer negatives because of the Stigith being in the way. Matter of fact, I'm going to just determine no one can shoot through this if Stigith is standing there because it's only 4 foot tall. So he's basically going to block this. He's going to leave the torch right here as she goes through. So they have torch light, but they don't actually have a torch over there that is lit. Or, no, maybe she'll drop it right here as she goes through and then readies her spear. Next turn, she'll ready her shield, so she has a shield and her spear. Now, the way this works, actually, it's an inverse. So on the turn that they go, it is whoever charges goes first. So in this case, since they got the charge, the movement into it, then they're going to get to go first regardless. So Stigith is going to go ahead and attack a goblin. That will be a 7. Stigith has a +1 to hit. Goblin is using a shield and leather. Let me roll to see if they're surprised. They are surprised, so the goblin will not have the shield ready. It'll just be the leather. So hand axe versus leather is a 7, and we have that in the dice, so that will be a hit. Stigith's going to do 2 points of damage. Now, I need to roll how many hit points the goblin has. The goblin has 2, so that is going to render this goblin to 0 hit points and to death. Edith is going to go into the wolf. She rolls a 5. Edith is exceptionally strong. She gets +3 to hit, so that will be an 8. Going into leather with a spear, she needs an 8. So that again will be a hit. A spear does, if I'm not mistaken, where's my... Oh yes, I just need to get to her character sheet, sorry. That is the best place for me to find this weapon. So it's going to do a D6 versus medium-sized targets, D8 versus large. So she does 4 points of damage +3 for strength is going to be 7. The wolf has a D6 hit points, which is going to be 4, which doesn't matter because she just absolutely runs the wolf through, slays it where it lays before it's able to get up. And now 2 the creatures are dead. The wolf is dead, and a goblin has been killed. I'm going to give a morale check for the remaining goblins because they were stunned. That is a 7. That's not enough for them to run just because. Close, but not quite. And they are going to go ahead and roll initiative to see who goes first next turn because the goblins were stunned. In this case, it is going to be the party. Edith's going to leave the torch there, going to ready a shield, take a 5-foot step forward and grab and thrust at the goblin. Stigith is going to move forward, trying to clear the front of that cave in the entranceway there, and move towards that goblin. Again, because they're charging, there's a new round of combat, they get to go first. Edith rolls a 7. I know that hits already because they need an 8, so that will hit. Edith does 4 points of damage. The goblin has 4 points of damage, so that is enough to kill the goblin outright. And now Stigith. Stigith's going to roll a 5 + 1 is going to be 6. They need a 7, if I remember right. Yes. So that will not work. The goblin will attack back. Goblin rolls a 4. That will not hit. The Stigith has now got his shield out. So it will be chainmail and shield versus a sword, which requires a 9. Okay. Now, after melee, you have ranged. Myron's going to go ahead and shoot here. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 30 feet. That's going to be medium range for a longbow. That will not hit with a longbow. No. Close, but not quite. Osgard will also try and shoot, but he'll be shooting this one over here. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Going to the second one, I was double it. That'd be 8, 9. So that's going to be 45 feet away, which keeps it in. That's going to keep it in. That's going to actually, yeah. So that will miss as well, even with a +1 dexterity. No, that's exactly what they need for medium. Okay, so this will hit for medium. He does a d6 damage. He has 3 points of damage. The goblin has 3 points of damage. Man, we are just racking this up. All right. The goblins are going to have to make an immediate panic check here. They're down to 2 of 5 goblins and a wolf. That will not be it. I'm going to go ahead and roll a d20 to see what type of routing they're going to do. High is good for the party. Low is good for the goblin. The goblin will just run away. This case, the goblin is just going to hightail away. So they're going to move 1, 2, 3, and then get through this door, essentially. They're going to open the door and go. The door remains open as they go. They don't have to force the door open because they're bad guys. And will the party give chase, or will they collect themselves, knowing that the goblins are probably going to alert anything in the next room anyways to their presence and may continue to run as they go? So that is no, they're not going to give chase. They're going to collect themselves here. Okay, so we have 3 goblins that are dead. Each goblin has a d6 gold. That is a total of 12 gold. The wolf does not carry any gold. Okay. I need to roll onto what there was for the loot. Okay, I kind of printed out my own little thing here to make my own little cheat sheet, sort of. This is a first level dungeon. There will always be silver. There's 50% of the time there will be gold. So on 11 through 20, no, there is no gold. There is 5% chance of gems. So on a 20, a jewelry, no. And there's 5% chance of a magic item. So nothing. As they went to level 2 to 3, that would be on a 19 or 20, just so you know. And that's how it works. So there's going to be a d6 times 100 silver pieces. So it'll be 400 silver pieces. Scattered around the room. They're going to collect it in a one of the small sacks, basically filling the sack with silver. This room also has an 8-foot ceiling. The floors on all these rooms are 3 foot by 5 foot. The ceiling are also 3 foot by 5 foot. The walls are still these 2 by 2 tiles that seem to be there. There is some oak tree roots that seem to be pushing through the ceiling in this room, creating a slight leak in the middle of this room over here in this corner. I'm going to do this in blue. Over here where they're standing. So apparently this room was built before the oak tree grew big enough to push in part of the ceiling. Okay, they're going to try and spike this door and move through it. Everyone moves into the room. Of course, they're going to search this room because they've found a secret passage already. And they've been doing very thorough searches. Edith's going to go back to carrying their torch. This room will take 2 checks again. I'm going to roll real quick to see if they find it with the passive. Passive is blue. No and yes, they would find something, but there is no more secret passageways. They have spiked that door. Okay. Go ahead and pull this off here. So they have spiked this door. I'm going to go ahead and redraw it because the map is way over there. If you like this type of design and how I do it and everything like that, and this sort of old-fashioned way of kind of digging into this with erasable markers and everything and this setup, let me know in the comments so I know this is hitting right. If you're not a huge fan, then let me know that too. We are on turn 4 of this. It means we have one more turn and then we'll have to rest. I'm going to go ahead and draw this room again. Oops, need to get my Sharpie out of my dry erase markers. I do not want to have that problem. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure I include the room I was just in. This doorway is currently open. The party does not get much of a chance to rest, as they can hear the sounds of the goblins yelling and screaming on the other side of the room. Apparently talking to more goblins. Stigith is able to understand it, and he can tell that they're talking to some sort of authority figure who is demanding to know why they have fled their post and why they look so scared. And then he hears the sound of more wolves growling. Draw a little bit of a 3-dimensional view of it so you can kind of see what's going on here. I don't know how well that's coming across. This is a chair, a very large, oversized chair. Standing on it is a goblin. I'm going to put it as a goblin boss, just because it is a little bit bigger, for sure. The 2 goblins that ran in there are at his feet, groveling. This room is 20 by 30 foot. It has 2 further doors on its east side, making a total of 3 doors that are made of simple wood. There's an oversized chair, which is being used as a throne, that has pillows and cloth draped over it of different colors. There's a mighty goblin of larger size that has 2 wolves flanking it that will start to growl. I'm going to go ahead and roll a listen over here. And I'm going to roll a listen over here. Alright, so later something will be coming from over there. I'm going to go ahead and put a counter over there. Long time from now. Okay. So Edith was, as they move up, this is what they see. So Stigith and Edith are the ones for sure going up front. Myron's going to be with a bow. Brith is going to move up as more of a combatant. And Osgar will be over here maintaining bow range. We're going to move these things to 4. And with that, we're going to roll initiative. There is no reaction table to this. The fight has definitely been on. So the party gets to go first. This is a... there are 20 they're 25, 30 feet away. For sure, they can reach that in a round to get to here. As Edith runs through, she's going to drop her torch here. And next turn, she'll grab her shield. Brith will run in and go to here. Osgard's going to move to here. Myron to here. And for now, the torchbearer will go right there. This will be the attacks. Here's for Edith against the goblin on the left. That is a 6 plus 3 is 9, which is what she needs. The goblin has 4 hit points, and she does 8 hit points, destroying that goblin. Next up will be Brith, actually, before Stigith, technically. He's using a mace. The mace rolls an 11. Brith does not have a positive strength modifier. Doesn't have a negative, so that's fine. But he does a d6 points of damage for 6 points, and the goblin has 4. So he's actually going to kill the goblin before Stigith gets to go. Now, I want to just state, Brith is absolutely the most mundane cleric stat-wise I've ever seen, but has one of the highest lucks of all of it. On the Patreon site, I actually go through a personality gauntlet, funnel, whatever you want to call it, and that's actually expressed in there very, very clearly. Now, the goblins are good to go. No one else was in range. I need to roll to see if they were actually stunned. I'm going to give it a -1 or +1 on the dice, so only a 1 will stun. They are not stunned. The wolves are going to aggressively come forward and attack. Let me see if there's any tactics with this. Will this wolf go after Brith? Yes. And now the goblin boss, will he go after Stigith? Potentially, no. So they're both going to go on to Edith here. This could be a bad day for Edith. So Edith does not have her shield out. She's wearing chainmail. Wolf rolled high. Just so everyone knows, 0 is not death. 0 is unconscious. Death is actually at -1. All right. So a bite counts as a dagger. So chainmail versus dagger. Is going to require a 9. Yeah, I don't think I've rolled. I hope you have to retcon this. I don't think I rolled a hit yet. 9 still is hit, so we'll not have to retcon either way. The wolf does 5 points of damage. That could be devastating. Okay, so Edith takes 5 points of damage, is still alive. Massively hurt. Massively hurt. Here's for the goblin boss. Goblin boss, it rolled a 9. Now, 1, 2, and 3 goes after Edith. 4, 5, and 6 goes after Stigith. I need to roll 1 dice. So it's going to go after Edith. That's going to be a hit. This is probably going to be the end of Edith. Oh, this is a sad day. No! Edith is at 1 hit point. Okay. So Edith makes it out of here. Edith will have a heroic scar if Edith makes it out of here. And we'll have to determine what and where that is. Okay, so the other wolf goes into Brith. That is a 6. Brith has a shield out as well, so he has a 10. That's going to be a miss. Now, next turn, who goes first? They both have gone. So this is going to be based upon their the speed. So Edith actually goes first with a weapon class of 8. And then you have Brith, and then you have Stigith. Here's the thing. So Edith is going to equip a shield requiring a 10. And will she back up or will she continue to fight? She is a bit careless. She will continue. I didn't really state one way or the other. She's going to back up. Because she has that 5-foot reach. Hopefully the Goblin boss will stay on Stigith. It's going to kill the wolf. Alright, here's for the wolf. That will easily hit. She does 8 points of damage. The wolf cannot have that many hit points. The wolf has 5. So the wolf is rendered dead. Pierce the wolf, dead. Alright, next up will be the wolf against Brith because it goes on a 4. That's going to be actually cocked. That will miss. The Goblin boss, will it go against Stigith? Yes. As a fresh body right here. That will be a critical hit. So critical hits in this way are different. They don't actually have critical hits. I have critical hits, critical misses. But it's not the same. So, critical hit does not mean that it does more damage. It just means that it's going to like potentially disarm the character or something of that nature, or remove a shield or whatever. So he has armor, he has a shield, and he has a weapon. On a 1, 2, and 3, it's a weapon. 5 or 6, it is the shield. So he is going to remove the shield, plus he's going to do 5 points of damage to Stigith. Now Stigith is able to take that hit. Stigith rolled max hit points for himself. This is also on the Patreon site. You can see that, or you can go to the character creation and see that Stigith has 8 hit points. So Stigith got crammed for 5 points of damage, leaving him with 3. He's going to go back into the Goblin boss after Brith does. So Brith goes into the wolf. 8 will be enough to hit, I believe, a mace against leather. Yes, that is actually what you need. Oh, he does a point. How much hit points does the wolf have? The wolf has 6. Stigith's going to go into the Goblin boss. That will be an 8. The Goblin boss is actually, it would be a 9, excuse me. The Goblin boss is actually got leather armor and a shield. That needs a 9, so that's a hit. That is 4 points of damage. The Goblin boss has 2d6 hit points. So he'll have 7 plus 1 hit points. So he has 8 hit points. GB has 8. 4. I don't know. I can't remember. If I didn't just mess myself over here. Okay. Now we go for initiative. Bad guys are blue. Oh, and this goes to a 5. Party gets to go first. First up is Edith. Edith gets to go directly into the Goblin boss because that just makes sense. That's going to be a 6 plus 3 is 9. Leather shield with spear needs a 9. So she does 5 plus 3, 8 points of damage would be enough to kill the Goblin by itself. But the Goblin boss is killed. This is going to send the wolf into a panic potentially. Yes, that is a yes. Rolling over is what you need for this. So, what will happen? The wolf is going to flee. Normally that'd be surrender, but I'm going to say that is a flee. The wolf is going to flee out this way and try and run. Now, old D&D does not have attacks of opportunity, but the wolf is not going to get completely out. We'll stop right here, allowing people to attack as they go, basically moving with it. Here's for Stigith. Not that it matters which one goes first. That's going to be a hit. And then the other one's going to be hit. They both do damage of the same type. That's going to be enough to kill the wolf. The wolf dies. I didn't think it was going to make it through there. However, Stigith and Edith are both badly hurt. They don't have to decide. Two of their frontline people are badly hurt. They need to leave. They're going to go ahead and do a quick search of the room and then leave because they are way down in hit points. And they got some information to report back on. So let's go ahead and see what we have in this room. Okay, so there is going to be a D6. So it's the fourth loot. That's going to be that there's a chest that apparently the Goblin boss was going through. That's going to have a D6 times 100 gold. So they're going to have 400 gold mixed with 600 silver. And then whether this item is in this one or is in a different one is going to be a D20 roll. If it's in this one, then it's going to be higher than a 10. So 11 through 20. If it's lower than that, it's going to be in the other one. So it is going to be in this one. I have not rolled to see what this is yet. Okay, so we need percentile dice. I have a D10. Here's my D10. Here's for the first roll of it. 48. 48 is going to be a potion, so it will be a magic item or sorts. And we'll roll percentile again. 33. So they have an unidentified potion. 33. With that, they're going to excuse themselves from this dungeon and go back and try and heal and see what they can do. Are they going to run into anything as they leave? D6 roll as they leave. Yes. They run into 2. That doesn't make any sense. Again, Shriekers. They just left this area. Shriekers wouldn't move in while they were there. So that would not be an encounter that they would run into on the way out. This encounter is going to happen after they leave. I think this is a good place to stop. Essentially, they're going to get back. They're going to realize they need proper healing because this is going to take days and days and days for them to heal. So they're going to go back to Crestwood. Traveling back to Crestwood is going to require another D6. This is going to be a wilderness check as they travel. They are within an area with civilization, so that will affect what they run into. They do not run into anything negative. Everything is good. Torches are reset. That counter's reset. These guys are going to go ahead and go. They report back to Lord Reinhold what they have learned. Let's have him roll what his thoughts are. He is overly positive, realizing that they got into their first ever combat. They survived. No one died. They brought back information about what they were facing. They brought back a potion and a heap of gold, actually. So very proud of what these guys were able to do their first time out. I need to go ahead and keep track of how many goblins and whatnot were killed, because that matters. So we have a goblin boss. We have goblins. We had 5 in the first room, but 2 of them went to the second room where the goblin boss was. We had a wolf in the first room, and we had 2 wolves in the second room. Both were killed. Now, why does this matter? Because let's just say this is a goblin lair. And if this is a goblin lair, then there is a maximum number of goblins, there's a maximum number of wolves, there's a maximum number of goblin bosses. When you have depleted that area of goblin bosses and wolves, then you're only facing goblins. That affects how long that remains there. That affects if they stay there or decide to leave. That also affects that if you kill all the goblins, there's just no more goblins for you to fight. So all the rooms are basically empty. So that is what that affects, and that's why I'm keeping track of this stuff. Also, it's kind of cool for them to be able to know how many things they fought. So yeah, let me go ahead and figure out what the loot would be for that. Primarily, the loot on these things is going to be based on the gold and everything they found. The potion will not actually count towards that, unfortunately. Because it is considered a magic item. Oh, for the 5 goblins, I need for the. Oh wait, no, there's 3 more goblins. If I remember right, if I got that wrong, I'll fix it in the retcon. But I need to have a total of 5 more. No, that was wrong. I got 2 more goblins though. And the goblin boss actually has his own loot. So here's for the 2 goblins. They had 3 gold each. And then the goblin boss carried 3d6 coins on him. So he has 7, 12, plus the 3 is 15 gold. So they had another 15 gold on them. I'll go ahead and figure out the XP, but for sure, we're going to have 427 XP from the gold. We will have out of the 1,000 silver, that will be 100 extra XP for that. No, excuse me, it's 5. No, in this version it's 10. So it would be anyways. Yes. So it's gonna be another 100 for this one. That means that it's gonna be 527 XP. No one's gonna level, but it does get it gets them part of the way towards it. There are 5 of them, so that's 100 XP per one. I'll go ahead and figure out how much XP they need to go ahead and level up, and we'll go from there. Okay, guys, so this is the end of my first video. It might be a little short. I'll find out exactly where it falls within the editing. They're going to heal up real quick. Obviously, I'm going to say that the church, with Lord Reinhold's support, will heal them up with some healing, and then the next day they'll be able to go back. I will roll to see if there's any sort of randomness that happens. The front might be more defended, this type of stuff, as their presence is now more known, and we'll go from there. So if you want to see more videos like this, please hit the like, hit the subscribe. Let me know what you think down below. Let me know if I'm doing anything wrong. Realize that there are some adaptations I'm doing to the original Dungeons & Dragons. It's the only way I feel like you can play it that makes sense. And I'm willing to consider other people's ideas, but I kind of feel like the direction I'm going, for, at least so far, is the way I want to. If I hear a better way, if I find a better thing or something that streamlines it a little more, I'm going to go ahead and do that potentially. Also, how I'm doing it now will be different than how I do it in the future. Like I said, I want to get the ChessX map. I want to go towards miniatures. I have a bunch. I'm not quite set up for that yet, and I really want to make sure that this Thursday this video gets out. So look for it at 5 o'clock in the morning Central Time on Thursdays. Okay, guys. See you. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye. Keep rolling those dice.